Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Megan Martin. I'm a real estate communications consultant, and I'll be hosting our expert panel for you today, where we'll be taking a look at the current climate of mortgage brokerage in Canada, including new challenges, transitioning from a specialist to a mortgage broker, and tools and tips on how to succeed. Today's event is brought to you by Orbis Mortgage Group, which is one of the only independently owned mortgage brokerages in Quebec. I'd just like to introduce our panel for you today and talk a little bit about their credentials. With us, we have Robert Sinclair. You'll hear him referred to as Bob throughout the conversation. He is the president of the Coalition of Independent Mortgage Brokers of Canada. Robert was appointed president of Simbik in March 2018. Prior to joining the organization, he was the executive head of Specialized Sales Canada for BMO Bank of Montreal, where he carried the responsibility for the Mortgage and Investment Lending Commission sales force, as well as the Canadian retail auto finance business. He was strategically influential in the establishment and growth of Bank of Montreal's mortgage broker and mortgage specialist business in Canada. Today, he is extremely focused on the future, specifically leading Simbik towards its long-term strategic goals of capitalizing on growth opportunities in this rapidly evolving environment. He holds a Master's of Business Administration, Financial Services, and is a graduate of the Fellowship of the Canadian Institute of Canadian Bankers, as well as Rotman's Executive Leadership Program. Also with us, we have Jonathan Gagnon, Vice President of Orbis Mortgage Commercial Lending. Jonathan is a veteran professional lender and has been in the industry for over 12 years. With a background in financial planning, he started his lending career at TD Bank, where he quickly established himself as one of the bank's top lenders. He was awarded the bank's prestigious Paragon Award 2 years in a row, as well as receiving many other accolades. His work experience also includes 2 years at the Bank of Montreal before joining Orbis. And of course, last but not least, we have Teddy Kyres, who is the president and founder of Orbis Mortgage Group. Teddy is an experienced mortgage professional and has been in the lending industry since 2007 when he started his career at BMO. As a mortgage specialist there, he led Canada and funded deals for 6 years. And after spending a decade, he decided to open Group Orbis. Over his career, Teddy has funded over $1 billion of volume and 3,500 loans. With Orbis, he now collaborates with his entire team to establish a process and structure that enables all of the customers to receive the same consistent experience every time. He brings a unique view to the mortgage brokerage industry that emphasizes efficiency and transparency to both lenders and brokers at Orbis. Teddy holds a BA in economics from McGill University and has completed the mini MBA program at McGill as well. So all of that said, you're in good hands today. Thank you to these gentlemen for being with us and to everyone for watching from wherever you are. Just to let you know, we'll be having a short Q&A session after the discussion. So please feel free, send us your questions. We'll be seeing them throughout and we will get to them towards the end of the conversation. Use the chat feature on Zoom and rest assured everything will be anonymous and we'll be answering all of your questions at the end of our chat. So with that, let's get going. To begin, I'd like to ask Bob to kick us up as an industry veteran and retired executive. Bob, can you explain a little bit about the mandate of Simbik and discuss how it addresses some of the challenges in the market today, including the impact of COVID and why this is an ideal time for specialists to consider making the transition into being a fully licensed mortgage broker?
Yes, thank you, Megan. Hopefully everybody can hear me. I want to thank also Teddy and Jonathan for the invitation today. Have an opportunity to attend the webinar, and most importantly, everybody on the call is staying safe and healthy through COVID. Yeah, just a little bit about Simbik. Simbik actually was launched and introduced by the CEO, John Bargis, back in 2014. And basically what it was launched as a network alternative model for independent mortgage brokers. And the mandate and objective was basically to leverage the combined strength and influence of those members to produce a more, I guess, sustainable environment for the lender partners. And also, if you look at what Simbik model is today, it really allows the independent mortgage broker to market their brand in the communities where they live and work, and we provide access to multiple lender products to provide them with alternative financing for their customer. And actually, if you look at that model, it's really held up well over the last 6 years, and it continues to hold up well in this environment. I'll talk a little bit about the environment, Megan. This is unprecedented, as we all know, and we're all kind of doing business differently. And that's a reflective of our customers too, and how the behaviors that they're demonstrating when it comes to investment and purchases of a home. Fortunately, Simbik has been well ahead of this by building our strategic plan some 18 months ago, and we continue to to focus on that plan and the different components of that plan through COVID. We've expanded the company exponentially over the last 18 to 24 months. And we're seeing, we're seeing more mortgage brokers and brokerages kind of looking at their financial model and reassessing that, and looking at alternative ways to really help their end customer with financial solutions. We continue to focus, as I mentioned, on that strategic plan. And one of the things that we launched actually before COVID was our technology platform, which has really allowed us to focus strategically on education and training, as well as looking at financial solutions for our member brokers as well. I mentioned the expansion, I mentioned the expansion of Simbik. Sorry, I've been doing a lot of talking this week. We're seeing that that many individuals and brokerages want to get in, want to transition to the independent model, but we're also seeing new brokers coming off their training programs and licensing, and that includes more proprietary sales forces as well. And my experience, even over the last 18 months, interviewing people coming on to be brokers is really, it's been an experience for me. And I think about, words like, anxiety and reservation and confidence and, stability, and of course the big one, income and compensation. And I think what we try and do at Simbik, as we interview these people and as they're coming on to be mortgage brokers, is we try and find ways of making it easier around those real life situation and those components, and provide transparent information and the right information for those individuals to make informed decisions to come over to be mortgage brokers. I've worked with Teddy and Jonathan for many years. Orbis is a great example of a brokerage that is part of Simbik, and Teddy, I'm sure, will get into his experiences on transitioning from BMO over to, as well as Jonathan, over to the mortgage broker environment. But we continue to work and focus on the things that we should focus on. As I said, I've worked with these individuals, and I congratulate both of them for their success. But I think, when we look at the market today, it's about really getting our share, more of a share of the market. And that's something that I focus on every day. And I know our brokers and members focus on that as well. So I'm looking forward to the rest of the webinar, the conversation, and adding value where I can. So thanks again for the invite. And I was happy to open it up. Thanks.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it. Jonathan and Teddy, I'm sure you can relate to a lot of what Bob was saying, particularly about the advantages of making the switch, but also the initial fears in doing so. Jonathan, I'd like to get personal with you, if that's okay. I want to know why you decided to become a broker, and if you could talk a little bit about the misconceptions you had when you were approaching the idea of switching, and sort of what made you apprehensive. I'd also like to know why you decided to go the independent route and why you picked Orbis in particular.
Well, again, hi, everybody. Hope everybody's safe at home. Thank you for the intro, Megan. Hi, Bob. Hi, Teddy. Speaking from experience, it took me quite a while. I've actually entertained the idea for, probably a few years. The misconceptions I had was probably that false sense of security working with a bank. A lot of people, they're thinking that they're getting most of their business because of, they're working for a certain bank or for a certain institution. And I was, at the same time, I was always a firm believer that people do business with the individual. Okay. So I always thought, it was something important for me to market me first before the bank, because I believe, if you do a great job, if you're good at what you do, if you provide great service to your customers, people will come back for more, So that false sense of security of kind of hiding behind a big institution, that was something that was, that was definitely a bit of a factor for me. And also the word on the street, you always think that if you make the move from, either a bank or another brokerage agency to being a mortgage broker, there was kind of a misconception about the quality of your clients. Even back in the days, way back in the days when I was in MS, a lot of people were saying, well, brokers, they're getting more like B-type clientele or whatnot, but that's definitely not true. In terms of motivation, I mean, I was at a point in my career that even though, I've waited a few years to make the move, to me, it just didn't make any more sense just having one product to sell, because at the end of the day, if you don't have the solution for your client, what do? You let your client go to a competitor. And again, I have a lot of respect. I still have a lot of friends that are, mortgage specialists with banks or mortgage brokers, and they're doing a terrific job. I'm just speaking, from the heart. Me personally, it just didn't make sense anymore.
Got it. So you were ready for a culture change, basically.
Absolutely.
Okay. And what would you say brought you to Orbis?
Well, quality of the individuals. I mean, we all know each other, and I don't want to sound corny or whatnot, but knowing Bob, knowing, how credible the guy is, how passionate he is, what he's accomplished in the market, and knowing Teddy, we've been competitors, on and off the ice, I can say, right, Teddy? So a lot of respect for Teddy, a lot of respect for his vision, the fact that he's always cheering for his team, and I think he really has everyone's success at heart. That's super important. The values here, something. When I started in the industry, it was kind of a family. Even though I was working for a big bank, we were all starting, and we kind of create it became kind of a family, and I think it kind of disappeared over the years, and now we really have that here. And yeah, that was a huge factor, definitely. And again, knowing that to me, it's important to respect people that are in a leadership position, that have paved the way. Again, if I'm looking at Bob's accomplishment, I mean, something, him and John, they're always ready to offer mentorship to help people out. They want everybody to succeed. And like Bob was mentioning, not saying being a broker is for everyone, but definitely it's a process. It's a process, and every individual is different. Nobody does it for the same reasons, but I mean, it's, again, if we go through the process, where me, Teddy, and Bob, we're here to help and answer the questions, because in this market, especially now more than ever, I think it would be super positive to make the change. The last point I want to touch is also, working for one institution, you're kind of, some periods you have good products, you have good rates, you have good policies, but you never know when that might get taken away from you. Okay, so the control factor when you're a broker, to me, a lot of people, again, they think it's probably more secure to work for a big institution or whatnot, but at the end of the day, when you're a broker, you really control your business and what you do, and you do have the options of, going with an A lender, an alternative lender, a private lender. So basically, you offer a whole portfolio solution for your client. So you don't have to be stressed about losing him to a competitor.
Got it. Okay, so flexibility is definitely one of the values that was attractive to you.
Definitely. I mean, to me, it'd be you can be passionate about, Ford cars, but if you work for a Ford dealership, your client wants to buy, a BMW, or I don't know, a Subaru, what do you do?
Right, of course.
You know what I mean? So it's about offering, the whole portfolio, and being transparent with your clients too, because you don't have only, you're not biased. You don't have only one product to push. So, at the end of the day, I mean, Mr. Barr just says it best. I mean, it's all about the client, right? I think it's one of his you know, I think it's all about you. It's this business mortgage edge, right? That's a slogan. So it says a lot about the people that are behind Simbik. And you know, Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys really, you know, did this for the brokers, but also for the clients.
Yeah,
Because,
no,
you know,
you're exactly right. I mean, you know, the model is broker centric, and we're there to support the brokers in, you know, the profitability and expansion of their business. I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit though. When I brought you over from TD Bank, you were one of the hardest ones to bring over. So, you know, which again is doing your research, getting the right information, and then making the informed decision to come over, which in this environment is really important.
And that's a good point. I mean, depending on what you want for your future and your business, to me personally, you know, I was glad I made the move, but at the same time, it's one of those things where I kind of got tired about, you know, having only one product to sell or working for only one brand. And then when I made the move, I was happy because I met some really, you know, high quality people that really work with their hearts. And that's, you know, that's a big why of, you know, me joining Orbis and Simbik. But at the same time, moving from TD to BMO, looking back, you know, I kind of wish I would have went broker right away, because to me, the industry was changing already. And you have to be careful when you move from one place to the other, because, you know, they say the grass is not greener on the other side necessarily. So basically, you know, to me, you know, when Teddy approached me and spoke to me about Simbik, being independent, being the first ones in Quebec, to be part of something like that that's growing super fast, and to be able to say that, you know, you work for a coalition that negotiates with all the banks with everybody's volume. I mean, I think it's pretty neat. It gives us a huge advantage, and it gives us, you know, opportunity to grow. And also, I think, you know, as either a sales rep or a mortgage broker, you know, a big question is what's left after a deal. What do you have left in your pocket? And I think the fact that we're with Simbik, you know, I think there's a lot of advantage to, you know, at the end of the day as well.
Thanks, Jonathan. One of the things I heard you keep coming back to was culture and the importance of a supportive environment, a motivational environment. And it, you know, very much gives the idea that that is what is present at Orbis. Teddy, I'd really like to turn it to you now and ask why you founded Orbis, how you've grown it, and what the firm's guiding principles have been in achieving that culture, and really focusing on fostering the growth and development of your people.
Thank you, Megan. And first of all, I want to thank everybody for attending this and live and on recording after. And I hope you're staying safe. And thank you, Bob and Jonathan, for joining here. So I want to go back on some of the things that were said by Jonathan and Bob. And so before we hit the culture aspect of it, but, you know, I know that it's a tough decision making a move from either a brokerage or more a specialist to becoming a mortgage broker. I actually had my license for 10 years before I actually made the move. So yeah, I was debating it for many, many, many years. And essentially, a lot of the points that Jonathan has brought up was, you know, were my frustrations. You know, I worked for BMO, and BMO was an excellent bank. And if anybody wants to work for a bank, I recommend BMO. I think it was really, really good from my perspective as a mortgage specialist. And however, you know, there was often times where you were frustrated with the products, with the rates, and, you know, and they have an appetite for specific aspects, specific timing of their deal, of when they want to have a promotion or when they want to have different products launched and everything. And so, you know, you're always at the mercy of the institution and their appetite and what they wanted, and not the mercy of the market as a whole. Because maybe one specific week, you know, BMO was in the market, we were the best in the market, but then the next week it was, you know, CIMBC or Scotiabank or Desjardins. And so, you know, you had to always time it. And then you had, and I saw that, you know, reps were going back and forth from different institutions, bringing their book of clients from one bank, from like they're working at BMO, they're going to TD, they're going back to BMO. And so they're always rebuilding their book and trying to sort of chase where the products and the rates are. So I saw this, and during, you know, often you get solicited by other banks to come work there. And to my point, I didn't want to restart everything multiple times and hopefully choose the right bank that's going to be good for me for the next few years. And so when I did say, you know what, I do want to go as a broker, I did, you know, I went everywhere, looked at all the different models out there, and I met John Burgess, and I saw the Simbik model, which had the same values and culture that I believed in. And I think it's not about the big banners. It's about you delivering the best product and the best rate for your clients, and getting compensated transparently and being efficient with what you're doing. And so, you know, a lot of the different areas out there were not as transparent as I wanted. And with Simbik, I saw that there was a major transparency, and like I saw everything. And it was first time you would actually see everything from the whole mortgage brokerage perspective, because you are worried. You're worried that you don't know what you're entering into. You don't know where you're going. What's this new field? You have a conception of, oh, like Jonathan said, oh, they only do the bad clients. Oh, they only do the B clients. That's not true. Like, and that's a 100% like the opposite. Actually, a lot of the very strong clients will actually want to work with you and work as a partnership, because they value you, and not value just the rate, but value as advice. And so once I had that vision of what I wanted to be, and I want to be independent, and how I wanted to treat all my brokers and everything, and I saw John, and so that's when I decided to actually make the move and become a broker. But yeah, there was tons of hesitation. There was tons of you know, you're worried about, you know, how am I going to make the money I used to? You know, am I going to be able to give the same rates? You know what? You actually have, it's much less risk, because you have the whole market available to you. So if one bank decides to turn off the tap on one specific product, well, you just veer your clients to, you know, 6 other banks or whatever it is. And so, and if one bank decides to want to be out of the rate game that week, well, you have the other, you know, 15 other banks to do that. And a lot of the knowledge that I had before, when I was a mortgage specialist, I had false information in the sense that like the products for certain lenders were no good, or I would say, oh, that's a risk if you go with, let's say, for instance, a virtual lender or whatever. And a lot of the info that I had was totally wrong, because I wasn't actually in this space. And then finally, like when I was thinking, like, what's the model I want to bring here? It's really the person. So if you work at a bank, there's people that are doing 2 million, and there's people doing 100 million. You have the same products, the same rates. Why are people doing 2 million versus 100 million? It's the people behind it. And I want to empower the broker, because you make your own path. You go out there. It's not the bank who's going to give you clients. Because if the bank was going to give you clients and everybody would be successful, everybody would be doing 50 million, right? And that's not the case. You have a huge gap in different. And so it's really, you know, if you have the products out there, and then you go and solicit the clients properly, and you are able to actually give a lot more value to your clients. And then it won't just be about a rate after, it will be about a solution, a strategy, right? I have clients come to see us saying, I want to buy 5 properties. What's the strategy for me going forward? And we can do 5 different banks over a certain amount of time. We can do different products for different, you know, different situations. I'm not limited to just, you know, the specific institutions products out there. And that's a huge aspect. And then, you know, I guess we'll touch on Simbik and the transparency issue a little bit later on. But on my end, it was really like creating a comfortable environment that people understand the different products out there, that understand the value is not in just the rate, the value is in a structure, in advice driven. And if you're able to deliver that, your clients will stay with you for a long time, and you're creating yourself a book of clients that, you know what, you are able to manage that book and create yourself a business, and not just completely chasing a new deal every day, right? It's more, I have my book of clients that I have, you know, over the years, they have trusted me, and they know I give the best advice. And so we go on, and I'm now able to really give them the best advice, because I do have an unbiased view with all the banks out there. So, yeah.
So really it comes down to building a long-term relationship with these clients, right? As opposed to one-off deals.
100%. And that's the key here, because when you're and I know at BMO, I did a good amount of volume, but every year you're just rebuilding from zero, right? And as a broker, you're not rebuilding from zero. You have your clients like, you know, this guy's going to buy this next year. This guy has a renewal coming up. This guy wants to refinance. And so you're not only chasing purchases which is the majority of the mortgage specialist business is the purchase business. You're chasing renewals, refinances, and then you have a whole other aspect of, commercial lending. Right now, if you do a commercial deal as a mortgage specialist, you send it to your commercial person. You hope that the person calls the client back and you don't get a complaint, and so, but there's no hope here, and you don't get compensated for it. There's no hope here. It's like, hey, we have a commercial division, like that's where Jonathan heads up there, and we send it to his team, and they find the best solution for the client. It doesn't matter if it's a BMO or Scotia or TD or even virtuals or alternative, whatever, they have a solution, and we get compensated. So you're creating yourself like you're creating your own business, and that's how I look at it.
Okay. And I mean, over the years, you've helped a lot of specialists make the transition to being a broker and have helped them adopt that vision, right? And that sort of path towards their career. What would you what would you tell them to expect when they're in this transition process, and what kind of resources does Orbis have in place to facilitate the process, the transition?
So when I made the transition, I had some, I was lucky that I had a mentor with John Barges to help me navigate this, but it is a big transition. First of all, you have to have a license. This is the key thing. Now with the AMF and the Bill 141 that's come through, where with the AMF, you need to have a license with them, which doesn't take that much time. It's a couple months, and I think they're changing the program, but it's a couple months, and you should have it done, okay? And so key is, number one, get your education. We can help guide you for that. But once you have a license, doesn't mean you know how to do a mortgage. Once you've done, $500 million of mortgages at XYZ bank, doesn't mean that you know how to do a mortgage at Scotiabank, or how to do a mortgage at Desjardins, or how to do a mortgage at TD. It just means that you understand the concept of mortgages, you know what's good for the client, but you don't know all the different tools available to you. And so obviously the first few months is learning where to put the deal. You get a deal in, client comes in and says, where do I actually want to send this mortgage to? Who's going to give me the best rate, the best terms, best products, and the best thing for the client? And so on our end, what I've created with Orbis is we've created a underwriting desk. So once you onboard, you are good at sales. You've done sales as a mortgage specialist, and that doesn't change. Maybe the sales pitch will be amended a little bit to more of a product discussion versus a rate discussion. But on our end, it's really, you get the deal, it comes in, and then you have the deal. You say, okay, where do I send it? Well, the underwriting team will help you guide which banks we're going to send it to, what documents are needed for that specific bank, what's the policy for that bank for rentals, for non-residents, for XYZ, heating, condo fees calculation, offsets. There's a ton of different aspects out there that you don't know, and I didn't know. I started off the first 2-3 months. It was a trial and error. Now, to help that transition, because it's going to take a lot of stress off the mortgage specialists, is we have that desk, and that desk is not just for when you begin, but a lot of the mortgage brokers, they use it when they've been there for multiple years. They'll use the desk because they makes them more efficient as well. Where they're saying, you know what, let me concentrate on sales, and they're going to concentrate on the back end with the banks. They don't have to. It's up to them to use it or not. But I think when you begin, this is the key thing, is understanding how to place those deals and understanding where to go with those deals, and not lose time and not like ruin your reputation, where you have a deal, you've gone to 4 banks and they got refused 4 times because you didn't know where to go. Well, once it comes into the underwriting desk, they know exactly where to go. They know who has the appetite for that specific deal and how it's going to get done. So on our end, it's really like, and there's obviously that we onboard an onboarding process, and then we help coach the brokers on how to, or the specialist onboarding as brokers, how to sell and how to go about their business. But a lot of them, they have their networks, they're established. It's just really on our end, it's really how to leverage their networks, how to leverage their time, how to work in a certain structure efficiently. And so that's what we help guide them. And obviously there's, I want them to all achieve a tremendous amount of volume. And, we establish goals and seeing where you want to go, where you are right now, and how do you grow from that volume there.
Perfect. Jonathan, maybe you can talk a little bit about your experience starting out at Orbis and how you use those resources that Teddy just described.
Well, heading a commercial team, again, my experience so far has been fantastic. A lot of quality people have joined the, Teddy's team, and I can say that we have an absolutely, amazing relationship because we kind of help each other out. We refer each other business. I help people share my experience, and again, I was talking about the family feeling that we have here. I think that also one thing that we really, take to heart is putting the brokers or the reps that wants to join in a winning position. I think everybody here, we have people that are, have been superstars in the industry for numbers of years, and we also have newcomers. And what's good at Orbis is, I'm sure Teddy can vouch for that, is, I think the reps really help each other out as well. We really have that family type feel where there's no jealousy or whatever. People will call like a more senior rep to ask them for guidance, which they will provide. So everybody helps each other out, and it's just the truth. The last thing you want if you make a transition like that is to be put kind of in a position where it's sink or swim. And that's not what we want to do here. We want to put people in a position where they can succeed when they're able to win and grow their business. Because, a lot of people, they play with the numbers. They'll hire, and not provide, kind of the care, the guidance that, our rep would need. And I'm totally against that. It's not a numbers game here. We really want people to succeed. Otherwise, what's the point in doing this webinar, right? It just wouldn't make any sense to me. That it's not the type of people we are. We really want people to succeed because their success is the success of Orbis, ultimately.
And in addition to the culture at Orbis that does foster that level of success and guidance, there's also the partnership with Simbik, right, which has its distinct advantages too. Teddy, I'd love if you could shed some more light on what those actually are at this point.
Well, with Simbik, what you get, like they're very transparent for what you're getting, okay? And they do not hide things from us, and that's the biggest fear in the mortgage businesses is what am I not seeing, and what am I not, from a commission point of view, from a product point of view, having access to the different lenders out there. Do I have access to all the lenders in the environment? And so from a Simbik perspective, my most important aspect that I see from Simbik is really they help me, have access. They're transparent 100%. They are very efficiency focused, which is what the lenders are focused right now. All the lenders and from every bank on, they want to find a way to be more efficient. And this is the mandate for Simbik and all of its members. And so if you do have a Simbik member that is not efficient, and I get Bob would talk to it more than me, but I don't think they would last very long in Simbik, which is in turn gives you better terms and conditions with lenders, better products, better turnaround. So it's all combined in that aspect there. And their vision is not to, it's not to, I'm going to make X amount of money off of X amount of volume, and they don't care about it. It's really constantly improving their process. Like the technology, you spoke a little bit to it. The technology that was launched recently, it's incredible. I've never seen such technology in the market. I only saw it in the States, and now it's coming over here, which is incredible. How it's almost automated the whole transaction for you. And so, from the technology point of view, from the efficiency point of view, from the transparency point of view, there's no other model that matches that. They're not money hungry, and that's the biggest key here. You can trust them, and really, John's been in this business for 30, 40 years here, right? And John, he's not going to risk his reputation for a couple basis points, and Bob as well on his end. He's been in the business for in both business, from the bank perspective, from a BMO's perspective, as heading the mortgage specialist and specialized sales, to when I think you manage also the mortgage brokers volume back when they were at BMO. You've seen the markets. You're not in this just for a quick buck or anything like that. It's really we have a belief in there. You have an experience in there, and these are the people I want to be associated to. I don't want to be associated to any other people that are just trying to take advantage of me. I want to be associated with people that are there, have the same vision as me long term, and that want to help me to grow and want me to grow my volume the right way there.
Bob, if you want to jump in and add anything.
Yeah, no, thank you. I mean, you've said a lot, and I look back and even my experience on coming over to Simbik a couple of years ago. And I want to step back because I think you articulated very well, Teddy, when people make a transition and come down a new career path, I think it's really important that they gather the right information and that someone like us is being very transparent with all the challenges they may have coming over. And there's always that elephant in the room, and I may be putting you guys on the spot right now, but from the interviews I've had, it's always the gap on how do I move from, a financial institution to, a proprietary sales force, or for that matter, coming off having my broker license. How do I close the gap on income and compensation? Because that's one of the big pieces, right? And I think what Orbis has done is and what the members of Simbik have done is they've made those brokers, and I think you said it, Jonathan, made the brokers, a real key priority to the success of the brokerage. And I think that's where, you're providing that education, you're providing, opportunities to educate them on all the different lenders that we have. That's one thing I picked up very quickly, coming from the corporate world, which, I was with Bank of Montreal for almost 30 years. And coming over and looking from a broker perspective, you have to know every lender. It's just not about one lender. So I know I've talked a lot here, but I'd be curious to see, Jonathan, how, what your thoughts were when you came over, because, it's kind of like the elephant in the room about money and compensation and how do I make that transition, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, it's definitely a good point, Bob. And I can speak from experience. Someone joined, the commercial team recently, and I just want to, say it before I forget it. It's something that actually Teddy should really be proud of. The offer we have for our mortgage broker specialist that's entertaining the idea of, becoming a broker or maybe changing banner. I think it's something to be really proud of because our compensation structure is second to none. And, we've hired brokers and just happened to me on the commercial team recently. This guy actually went all over the place. He's had interviews everywhere. And, we were really proud to say and to find out that, our offer was really second to none. And not only based on the people, but based on the overall package. Okay. And based on also on the vibe of the place. And, people are excited about, when we get to talk about Simbik on a one-on-one basis in a meeting, in a webinar, I understand it might be different. But I mean, when we get to meet an individual and he shares with us, what his concerns are and his goals and what he wants to do with his business, I think that's really where we can, have a more serious conversation and address those fears or those challenges in the market.
Right.
Another challenge right now is we have yet to find out what the impact will be of the famous commission structure, with the bank paying the mortgage, not the mortgage brokers, but the real estate brokers. So, will the bank lose market shares to the brokers? Me and Teddy, I think we believe so. I think we believe the market share is going to change a bit, but again, that remains to be seen. But that's another challenge that we've planned for, and we know where we're going with that. And as a mortgage broker, I know you have an opportunity of controlling, your retribution and to get a part of that pie as well. So, I mean, if I was a new broker, I'd be excited right now. I think there's a lot of opportunity in the market.
No, there is.
Eddie, do you want to build on that at all and get into kind of the pros and cons of?
Yeah. So first of all, I want to address one question which I've got many times as questions, and that segues into the pros and cons. A lot of people ask, oh, well, you're talking about working with many banks. I know most major banks don't deal with mortgage brokers. Which major banks can you work with? That actually is not true. The only banks who are not directly involved in the mortgage business are BMO and RBC. All the other ones are involved in the mortgage broker business, but BMO and RBC are also involved with the virtual lenders, and they do fund the virtual lenders. So you have virtual lenders such as First National, such as MCAP, Lendwise, and Merix And so a lot of the products that these other banks have, which is BMO and RBC, they are actually products, but it's like almost like a private label type of thing under the virtual lenders. And so that's, and that's one of the questions, and that's a great question. That's one of the questions that I do get, like, which banks do you go with? But there are so many banks out there, and that's one of the biggest pros is the amount of banks out there, from the virtuals to the A banks, to the alternative banks, to the private lenders, to commercial. You have everybody out there. And a lot of people don't even know this, but when you work with a virtual bank, which is funded by the major banks, so First National is funded by, I'm not going to get into which banks are funding them, but funded by some major banks. Well, the penalty calculation when breaking a fixed mortgage is actually much more beneficial on a virtual bank perspective versus a standard bank perspective. And a lot of the major reps don't know that, right? That's not a thing that's actually known. And from a broker perspective, it's an unbiased view. You say, listen, this is the rate here, this is the penalty calculation, this is the rate here, this is the penalty calculation, and so forth, right? And so, on my end, that is one of the major pros of being, as a mortgage broker. And, Jonathan touched it about being independent. Why being an independent brokerage and not with one of the major banners is really, having access. I think you have a lot more access across the country through Simbik to all the different lenders out there, having a transparent view, and having the reps compensated appropriately, right? And their money is not going to be wasted, because my vision is mortgage brokers, they sell themselves. It's your network that's going out there. And whatever the banner's, name is, whatever, I don't think the banner's going to drive business to you. I think really the broker drives their own business. They need the tools, they need the coaching, they need the structure, how to do that. And that's great. But it's really, in the end, when a person calls for a mortgage, they're calling, Jonathan directly for mortgage. They're saying, Jonathan, I don't know where you're working. I need a mortgage. This is my situation. And Jonathan delivers the right product for them. And that's how they build it. And being independent offers you that ability to actually have an unbiased view, have full compensation, and know exactly what a lender's paying for a commission split, and not knowing. Like, one of the key things is really, when you say, every banner says, what's the split? Is it 90-10, 85-15, 80-20? Well, you know what? It's not what the split is. It's how much is left in your pocket, which is important. And that's one of the key things. And that's what, Simbik has brought us. It's like, really, what are you making at the end? And you can have a 95-5 split, but really your split's a 60-40 split, because you don't know what the lender's really paying. You think you have a 95-5, but you actually have a 60-40. So, from that perspective, that's why I trust Simbik. And I feel confident that, whatever I go out there, whatever lender I'm dealing with, I'm getting the best terms and conditions in the market. And that's a very important aspect there. And so a couple of other aspects of being, advantages of being a mortgage broker is really, obviously, multiple sources of revenue. We did touch on that from commercial perspectives, from many different other avenues that we have access to, that we get referral fees. And it's all, above board, and you are allowed to get referral fees for different aspects and different referrals. Ensuring that the client has the right product, because the worst thing is you give a client the wrong product, because that's what the product that you had. And then in 3 years, they turn around saying, well, you sold me this, and it was the wrong product, and XYZ banks were beating the rates, and why did you go here? What's the penalty? And so not, knowing that aspect, and now you're able to give the right product. And really, Jonathan touched on it. The Bill 141 is a huge aspect. I made this move without the Bill 141, the AMF aspect. That's, the change. And I came here, I thought the advantage of being a broker was even higher than it was. Like, I believe there's a huge advantage back then. But when I made the move, obviously a year or two later, 2 years later, the AMF thing came out, and it gives even more advantages where, there was a barrier to entry where the banks were paying 50 basis points to real estate broker. And as of May 1st, that's no longer allowed, and the banks pay a certain amount for referral, and we'll see how long that lasts. And the banks obviously want to maintain their market share. But on our end, nothing's really changed from that perspective. And I let all my mortgage brokers and it's like I say mine, but it's under Orbis. All the Orbis brokers, it's their own business. You get X amount of revenue for the deal. If you want to pay 80% of your revenue for a referral fee, which I don't recommend, you can, but it's really, you control how much you're doing. We obviously give you guidelines. We say what we recommend, like I wouldn't give 80%, but on your end, it's your business. You do what you want from the legal perspective of your business of dealing with the realtors. And so a lot of the realtors are now starting to learn this. And obviously from May 1st to now, it's not overnight that a realtor understands what the market is and what's happening in the market, but slowly we're seeing, and Jonathan can attest to it, the volume is increasing a tremendous amount. Our leads we're getting and our referrals we're getting from realtors, because the realtor is really extremely important in this. They're able to guide the clients. And I think from their perspective, instead of giving 55 different names of different banks, they give one name saying they have access to all the institutions is extremely important there. And finally, like one of the biggest things, and Simbik and John, touched on this when I was speaking to them, to onboard is you create your own database, and this is your future. But you, with Simbik, you maintain your database. The client's data is, you only have access to it, you keep it. Well, some other places, the data is shared. If you leave them after a year, they're able to solicit your clients. So what happens is you've spent all this time building your database, and you're giving it to another banner or other people who will monetize your database. No, I think your database is your money. This is your money going forward. This is your money that you're currently making, and this is how you're going to be able to successfully have a career as a mortgage broker by constantly increasing your database, your referral sources, and building that there. And so having full control on that is extremely important. From my perspective, that's why I became independent, and that's why I joined Simbik from our perspective. And so, just put things in perspective. So Simbik is obviously nationwide there, but Orbis we're Quebec wide. And so we, if somebody would join, they wouldn't work for Simbik, it'd be through Orbis, and our affiliation is with Simbik for all the relationships and for all the commissions and everything. So that's how we work.
Perfect. Bob, did you want to jump in there? I saw you kind of...
Well, yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the data piece. I was just taking, and I know we're running short of time here, but I just wanted to kind of expand a little bit on the benefits, and we've touched a lot on them. I mean, access to lender partners, support, to the brokerage through growth and profitability that we offer. But this access to client data is very important, as Teddy mentioned. We don't own the data, Simbik. It's the brokerage that owns the data, which allows them to market their database without any interference from the company. The training and education piece is huge. But one thing you did touch on, Teddy, was the experience that we have in Simbik. And, John's 40 plus years in both the mortgage broker business and the financial business. I've been in the financial business for over 30 years, but more importantly, we have 66 members now at Simbik that have a diverse background and experience on how to do deals. If we need somebody in, happens to be in BC that needs some experience on trying to look at how we do a commercial deal, we can refer them to Jonathan. So having that diverse group is really important for Simbik as well. So, and we rely on those individuals, as we move the company forward. We can't do it on our own. We expect the Simbik members to add value, and they do. So it's been a really good experience for myself to have the opportunity to work with 66 of the members now, and it's been a great ride so far.
Well, when you're mentioning 66 members, it's 66 different brokerage, right?
Brokerages, right.
Okay, I just thought it was. We're much more than 66 brokers. I just wanted to.
Yeah, I've got to be careful, because when in the other provinces they call them agents. So versus when I talk about brokerage, I should be talking brokerages, companies. So yeah, 66 of them now, which has grown from 24, 18 to 20 months ago. So
it's growing exponentially. And I mean,
Yeah.
Simbik's motto is unity empowers. And you know,
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer of that. Everybody working together. It's like having, you know, the firepower of a huge corporation being independent. And I think it's the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I think John was ahead of his time when he put this model in, for sure. Yeah.
For sure.
Guys, thank you so much for your thoughts today. All of our panelists, was a fantastic conversation. We only have a couple of minutes left, so I just wanted to close it out, and I'm putting everyone on the spot here. I just would like to know what your best, most useful piece of advice would be for anyone considering making the transition now. Who wants to take it first? Teddy, why don't we go to you?
Listen, I'll start. So I think that the biggest piece of advice is really understand the real facts, right? And don't hesitate to ask the questions of why. Don't take things for, you know, just for granted. Like, there's a monthly fee. Well, why is there a monthly fee for a brokerage? Why are you being charged, you know, $100 a month for access to a system that is free? Why this? Why that? Right? And so asking the questions, doing your homework. I think also really, if you look back at your own volume and saying, how much did I really derive from it, from my own perspective, from my real estate agents who referred me directly, and how much has really come from the bank, and how much money did I make from the bank? And so a lot of the people say, oh, we get referrals from the banks, but you know, in the end, they're making 25 basis points or 20 basis points off those deals. And so what is the value of that, and how many deals from the broker perspective can replace that? It's an easy calculation to do. And we, you know, if somebody wants to reach out, I can help them do that calculation and understand what the real value is. And so really doing your homework, and I know it will take time to understand and trust it. But there's many different ways that, you know, we can review it, and I can help people navigate it. You know, I've been through a lot of those fears. I've seen a lot of different people transition out into being a mortgage broker and out of the banks, and seeing who was successful and why were they successful, and what was the key thing and how quick they did it. And so there's a ton of questions, and everybody's sort of unique in that aspect. Writing them down, and really addressing each one of them before making that big plunge, because you don't want to know what you're heading into. I think it's not for everybody. However, it's for a lot of more people than they think they are. I think they think they're comfortable at a specific bank and doing deals one specific way. Well, once you break out of the comfort zone, sometimes it's a little bit difficult, but once you do it, like, you'll never go back. And that's one thing I have heard from everybody saying, once they become a broker, they're never going to go back to a specific bank and having limited options and so forth. And I think also going forward, the landscape's going to change. COVID's changed everything. You know, like, everything's virtual. On our end, we don't need to meet the clients. We can just do everything, you know, over the phone and validate their identity with IDs and everything. So, you know, from our perspective, it's the whole society is transitioning towards the broker business. Everybody's going there. It's like, do you walk into, you know, Toys R Us to buy a toy for your kids? Or do you go online often, right? And most people go online and do things online. Do you go to walk into a store to get something, or an electronic product? No, you go to Amazon. And so a lot of those things are transitioning in for the mortgage broker business. And people are not walking to branches anymore. It's really, they're doing things over the phone and or online and everything. And that's where Simbik is. And like Bob says, I think John Burgess was ahead of his time in this model. And this model is going to, I believe, be the most successful model in the mortgage business going forward in the short term and long term here. So.
Jonathan, did you want to add to that? And then Bob, I'll ask you to just close this out.
Well, again, you know, I realized that from personal experience, much of the fears I had before, you know, becoming broker would have probably been answered, you know, easily, because I actually didn't take the time to reach out, to meet with some people, to meet with some agencies, and to see both sides of the medal. Because whether you're a broker right now or a mortgage specialist, you know, a lot of people will preach for their own industry, which is just normal, right? So that's where the misconceptions happen. And that's where you hear about, you know, brokers not having quality deals and stuff. And like Teddy mentioned, it's totally not true. And again, another misconception that's huge is that, no, a broker only work with so many banks. No, it's not true. We work with pretty much all the major banks except a couple of exceptions. And, you know, I think they're going to turn around the institution because we're necessary. I mean, the brokers are growing and we're not going anywhere. That's for sure. So basically, I would just recommend that, you know, anybody that's interested or that we've piqued their interest to get information, only with us. Don't be afraid to call other brokerage agencies, compare, and get the facts. Get the facts. Know where you want to go with your business and get the facts, and make sure that whoever you choose to, you know, move your career to, that you're comfortable and that you trust them, and then you're gonna get the help and the push you need to succeed and to be placed in the best possible position for you to win. Because to me, at the end of the day, it's a pretty easy question and answer, right? It means where can I be most successful with my values of my business? You know, where do I have the best chance in succeeding, and where am I going to get the help and the coaching that I need? You know, to basically, you know, get rid of that learning curve of the process, and you know, and be able to be independent and grow your business. And I'm 100% convinced we have. I mean, I think the experience at Orbis and Simbik is just second to none, and it's just it's not an opinion. It's based on facts. So I mean, again, we're not shy one bit about our offer. I mean, we're actually super proud of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and great comments. Just quickly, you know, at Simbik, if you're thinking of moving over to Simbik, just please remember you're not alone. You know, you're not coming here and all of a sudden you're going to get left alone. We're not successful, and I have to give a shout out to why Simbik is so successful. It is our members, it is our brokers, but it's our partners too. I mean, our lenders, our appraisers, our insurers, our title insurers, our solicitors, everybody. And when you come in and join a family like Simbik, you're just not alone. I mean, we for sure won't let you fail, and we'll be there to support you. So yeah, so that's kind of, if the one thing you're going to take away from this is we're here to support you if you want to make the transition. So.
Great. Thank you again to our panelists and to all of our viewers. We hope you enjoyed the discussion today. Please don't hesitate to contact us directly, anyone at Orbis, Teddy, Jonathan. If you're interested in learning more or you have questions following today's talk. If you'd like to share this discussion, it'll be available later on today on our social media channels. So don't hesitate to share, like, comment. We'll still be available to answer questions via social after. We are always here. Stay tuned for the next webinar focused on the benefits of the partnership between real estate and mortgage brokers later in August. So thank you again, everyone, and stay safe out there.